Independence referendums were held in 6 republics. Therefore, at the initiative of the President of the USSR, Mikhail Gorbachev, a referendum on the preservation of the USSR was held on March the 17th, 1991, in which 76% of Soviet citizens spoke in favor of its preservation. 76% of Soviet citizens spoke in favor of the preservation of the USSR, excluding the population of 6 republics: Lithuania, Estonia, Latvia, Georgia, Moldova, and Armenia. The all-union referendum on March the 17th, 1991 is the last expression of the will of the Soviet people, at which they, by an overwhelming majority of votes, expressed their will to preserve and strengthen the USSR, to strictly observe socialist constitutional norms. Gorbachev raised the question before the leaders of the republics about the need to conclude a new union treaty about the formation of the Commonwealth of Sovereign States, a confederation with limited presidential power. This was the last attempt to preserve the USSR in any form. 9 of the 15 Union republics of Belarus, Kazakhstan, the USSR, Tajikistan, and Uzbekistan were to become members of the new union, and also Azerbaijan, Kyrgyzstan, Ukraine, and Turkmenistan could join them in the fall. On June the 12th, 1991, at the all-Russian elections, Yeltsin was elected president of the USSR, Russian Soviet Federative Socialist Republic. According to the draft constitution of the Russian Federation of 1993, a citizen of the Russian Federation at least 35 years old, permanently residing in the Russian Federation for at least 10 years, can be elected president of the Russian Federation. If we proceed from the fact that December the 25th, 1991 is considered the date of the formation of the Russian Federation, according to the law number 2094-1 on renaming the USSR into the Russian Federation, it turns out that the first president of the Russian Federation could appear only after December the 26th, 2001. Yeltsin was inaugurated on August the 9th, 1996 as president of the Russian Federation, and Putin became president of the Russian Federation on May the 7th, in 2000, which doesn't correspond to the date of December the 26th, 2001, and Article 81, Part 2 of the draft Constitution of the Russian Federation. It turns out that both presidents are illegitimate. Thus, two presidents appeared in the country, both illegitimate from a legal point of view. Yeltsin wanted to rule the country alone, without Gorbachev. In order to eliminate the post of President of the USSR, it was necessary to destroy the USSR, which Yeltsin purposefully did. Not all of the high-ranking officials welcomed the planned conclusion of a new Union treaty to replace the 1922 Treaty on the Establishment of the USSR. On August the 19th, 1991, a number of top leaders of the USSR decided to prevent the signing of a new Union treaty, which was scheduled for August the 20th, 1991. Hoping to protect the USSR as a centralized state, they formed the State Emergency Committee in the USSR, GKCP. It was a self-proclaimed body of power in the USSR, which existed from the 18th of August to the 21st of August 1991, opposed the perestroika policy, reconstruction policy, pursued by the President of the USSR, Mikhail Gorbachev, and also against the signing of a new Union Treaty. On August the 19th, 1991, on the radio and then on the Central Television of the USSR, the announcers in the news program Время read an official text entitled Statement of the Soviet Leadership, in which it was reported that Gorbachev was not able to perform the duties of the President of the USSR. Powers are transferred to the Vice President of the USSR, Gennady Yanayev. Gorbachev at that time was on vacation in the Crimea. The statement said that proceeding from the results of a nationwide referendum on the preservation of the USSR, guided by the vital interests of the peoples of our motherland, all Soviet people, to establish that the Constitution of the USSR and the laws of the USSR have unconditional supremacy over the entire territory of the USSR, to govern the country and effectively implement the state of emergency, form the State Emergency Committee in the USSR, GKCP, consisting of 8 leaders of the USSR, including Minister of Defense, Yazov, Chairman of the KGB, Kryuchkov, Minister of Internal Affairs, Puga, and others. Yanayev was the acting president of the USSR. The State Emergency Committee was supported by the Deputy Minister of Defense of the USSR, General of the Army Varennikov. USSR Defense Minister Yazov brought troops and military equipment into Moscow on August the 19th, 1991. Boris Yeltsin refused to cooperate with the State Emergency Committee and didn't submit to the State Emergency Committee. The people were disoriented and didn't provide broad support for the Emergency Committee. On August the 21st, 1991, the Minister of Defense of the USSR, Yazov, gave the order to withdraw troops from Moscow to their places of permanent deployment. Vice President of the USSR Yanayev signed a decree in which the State Emergency Committee, GKChP in Russian, was declared dissolved, and all its decisions were invalid. The State Emergency Committee members were arrested and accused of treason. Also, in fact, everything was the other way around. It was these people who spoke out for the preservation of the USSR. These middle-aged people spent in prison for a year and a half. The process of the State Emergency Committee case began on April the 14th, 1993. At the trial, the defendants stated that the Russian court is not the legal successor of the Supreme Court of the USSR and has no right to consider cases of the highest officials of the former USSR. On February the 23rd, 1994, the defendants of the State Emergency Committee case were amnestied by the State Duma of the Federal Assembly of the Russian Federation, and one of the defendants, Valentin Varennikov, refused to accept the amnesty, and the trial continued over him, which ended with a justification judgment, which means that the actions of the members of the State Emergency Committee of the USSR were justified by the Court of the Russian Federation, which means they were legal. The military collegium of the Supreme Court of the Russian Federation terminated the proceedings in the State Emergency Committee case, GKChP case. The reaction to the GKChP was contradictory in the regions of Russia and the republics of the USSR. Some of the leaders recognized the State Emergency Committee. Some of them waited. The GKChP was strongly condemned by most Western countries. the Supreme Soviet of Russia, headed by Yeltsin, declared the State Emergency Committee outlawed. In August 1991, Latvia, Lithuania, Estonia seceded from the USSR. In September 1991, the Fifth Extraordinary Congress of People's Deputies of the USSR adopted a decision to terminate its powers and dissolve itself. On December the 8th, 1991, in Belarus, in Belovezhskaya Pushcha, the leaders of the three Slavic republics, Russia, Yeltsin, Ukraine, Kravchuk, and Belarus, Shushkevich, announced the termination of the treaty on the formation of the USSR in 1922. The Belovezhskaya Agreement is the unofficial name of the agreement on the creation of the Commonwealth of Independent States, signed on December the 8th, 1991, by the Republic of Belarus, the Russian Federation, and Ukraine, as the founding states of the USSR, which signed the Treaty on the formation of the USSR in 1922. In Russia, the Treaty on the formation of the USSR in 1922 was denounced by the resolution of the Supreme Soviet of the USSR on December the 12th, 1991, number 2015-1, on the denunciation of the Treaty on the formation of the USSR. Denunciation is duly formalized refusal of the state from the international treaty concluded by it. In the second half of December 1991, other Union republics, except for the Baltic republics and Georgia, joined the three Slavic republics. Looking ahead, it must be said that the State Duma of the Russian Federation on March the 15th, 1996, adopted the decree of the State Duma of the Federal Assembly of the Russian Federation, number 157-2, on the legal force for the Russian Federation, Russia, of the results of the USSR referendum on March the 17th, 1991, on the issue of preserving the USSR, and confirmed that the agreement on the establishment of the Commonwealth of Independent States of December the 8th, 1991, not approved by the Congress of People's Deputies of the USSR, the highest body of state power of the Russian Soviet Federative Socialist Republic, didn't have and doesn't have legal force in the part related to the termination the existence of the USSR. As a result, the Belovezhskaya Agreement led to the collapse of the USSR, was concluded against the expressed will of the sovereign people at the referendum on March 17, 1991, on the preservation of the USSR, and therefore have a criminal character, constitute in their legal essence an act of state treason, and as such must be condemned and rejected by all subjects of international law, who recognized the Soviet people as the master of the country, called the USSR, and the undivided owner of the supreme power in it.